Alright everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we'll be doing things a little different. Let's go back in time, back to 2003. Were you alive? Because I wasn't. Okay, let's not dive that far back. Let's dive back to 2020, 3 years ago. Can you guess which SpongeBob game we'll be starting out with? SpongeBob SquarePants, Battle for Bikini Bottom, Rehydrated. The year is 2020. The world is locked in quarantine. Everyone's banging their heads against the walls, wondering where the good old days went. What happened to the days? The days when SpongeBob sat down and made that funny face, or acted like a chicken. These times were very sad for people, so they traveled back to the only place they could afford, their mom's basement, for shelters from the deadly virus that was spreading rapidly across the world. Unfortunately, you forgot your trusty PS5 at home, so you resort to dusting off your dinosaur father's systems. And what do you find in the cobwebs and debris? SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, the original game on the GameCube, and you are ecstatic. But what is this? This controller. It looks like some kind of alien spaceship controller. No, this won't do. You race to your iPhone and you angrily type on Twitter, "You're out for blood now." But not just blood, bubble blood. You rage about how there hasn't been a SpongeBob game in about a quadrillion years. It's ridiculous, and the time is now to change that. So THQ rose from the referenced ashes and pounded their mighty cash grab hammer across the sea and splashed out this masterpiece, Rehydrated. I actually bought this game as soon as it came out, but then never played it. It just doesn't feel right, but we'll get into that in a minute. Let's just start out with the game. If you've never heard of this game, you're probably really confused. Battle for Bikini Bottom was released way back in 2003 for the Game Boy and a few other 2003 consoles. I don't know, I'm not that old. But anyway, it was a massive hit and blew up with audiences worldwide. It's pretty much just a platforming game, apparently pretty similar to any other SpongeBob game before it, but it had much more of a smooth move system, at least for its time, sleek references to the series, and amazing gameplay elements. Now they feel outdated, monotonous, and tiring. They would later come back out with a new rehydrated version, pretty much just remastered for all the new consoles, with a much more smooth style of play, easier accessibility, and a new multiplayer, which sucks so much ass I can't even care to explain it. There's also some unused content in the remastered that was cut from the original, but I honestly don't think I played for long enough. Now let's actually stop talking and play this game. So, when we first open the game, we're presented with this rough-looking SpongeBob. I'm sorry if I'm killing anyone's childhood, but wow. The cutscene actually looks great though. Plankton goes on about some dumb plan involving robots, and unsurprisingly, the robots go against Plankton. They destroy everyone's houses. Well, at least judging on SpongeBob's house. His house is absolutely destroyed. They completely rocked his house, at least his living room. And they also spray painted this weird graffiti on his wall. I don't know, it's just really random, but there's also just a lot of other like really random stuff in the game, so I think it's just, it has something to do with the game coming out in 2002. Oh my god, the tutorial is unbelievably funny. SpongeBob's just sitting here saying, "Press this button to do this," and I don't know what it is, but the voices all just sound off. Like, At first I didn't notice it with Plankton, but then with SpongeBob, he sounds like he just got punched in the throat.
Very long day.
And then they show these golden spatulas, which is what they're gonna make me go running around looking for. Son of a... So then we have to collect all these weird floating flowers to unlock the golden spatulas and see the rest of SpongeBob's house. And the house looks awesome too. I'm pretty sure this is the first ever SpongeBob game where we actually get to explore the inside of his house, and I'm pretty sure in the new one you can't. So that was pretty cool. And so far, from the cinematics at least, Bikini Bottom looks beautiful, and I cannot wait to get outside. So as soon as I click the button to walk out of the house and lay my eyes on the scenery, I regret everything that I just said. I don't know what they did wrong, but this just cannot be right. it just doesn't look right at all. It looks weird, like the houses don't belong in the spot they're in. They also have these weird taxi banners around the center plaza thing, which let you travel to the different locations, but it just left me confused on why SpongeBob couldn't have just ran off into a cutscene and load you into the place. I've never seen a taxi in SpongeBob before, so it was just very random to me. I noticed they want you to break these tiki heads that are laid out literally everywhere. It also lets you explore SpongeBob's library, which I've never seen like this, so that was pretty cool. But I honestly didn't feel like doing the parkour. So then I had a conversation with Bubble Buddy and talked about an ability, pretty much a super jump ability, but it's like a head smash, and I can't do anything during it. I can't dodge, can't double jump, and the movement just feels stiff and honestly uninspired. It feels slow at times too. So after a while of being confused and walking in circles, I decided to go to Jellyfish Fields. And I find Squidward getting mugged by 3 jellyfish and record him with a $500 camera. So then I talked to him for a second and then went back to beating the shit out of absolutely everything. I built a bridge, dodged some XXXL pufferfish. Eventually, after decades of traveling the 7 seas, I found him, Patrick, atop the tallest island. So I quickly raced to switch on all the buttons and find my best friend. So then SpongeBob just dipped. Yeah, I don't know, just dipped. Yeah, bitch, I'm Patrick now. So, fun fact, I didn't know you could do this, so it just got a whole lot more interesting. You can just switch into all of the different characters. I didn't play that long, so I didn't unlock any other characters. I just played as Patrick for a bit, but super cool ability. I've never seen this anywhere else. So I was actually pretty excited because this must mean that each character has their own ability, right? Like SpongeBob's one attack just feels boring. It's just swinging a jellyfish rod around in a circle. It one hits every person, and if not, 2 hits every boss. So it's just so easy. The combat never ever feels challenging or exciting. So I was hopeful for Patrick. But unfortunately, Patrick's attack is just a belly bump. So this is some solid BS, but it's alright. What about his special? He can pick things up. Alright, well that's cool, I guess. Watermelons and stunned enemies.
That's much better.
So you can throw stunned enemies into the targets and throw watermelons into the targets. Alright. That's interesting. Not a whole lot there. But hey, I died and there was that funny hand thing from the show. Cool reference. Nice. So, yeah, that was Battle for Bikini Bottom. Honestly, not as much as I was expecting. There wasn't a whole lot of SpongeBob references like I thought there would be. I guess they're like more sprinkled throughout like the cutscenes and stuff. Like while the characters are talking, he does some like reference poses. But I didn't think that was a whole lot, and the game just felt really uninspired and really bland for what it was. I understand that it came from 2003, so I'll cut it some slack, but I'm just really excited for this next game. Let's get right into it. Okay, flash forward 3 years later to January of this year. I have not seen anything about this game. Nobody has been talking about it. I have been waiting to get it for Christmas, and I can confirm I have received it, ladies and gentlemen. So without further ado, SpongeBob SquarePants, The Cosmic Shake. So instantly, the graphic change is crazy. You may not be able to see it that well, but the graphic change is definitely there. It looks so much better, like infinitely better. Like in Battle for Bikini Bottom, SpongeBob, like the holes, they weren't holes. They were just pictures of black spots. He actually has holes now, and his pineapple actually has 3D printing on the outside. They're such insignificant changes. They make for a much more enjoyable experience. Also, something interesting to note, in the Rehydrated, it plays the SpongeBob opening song, like the intro song over the main menu. But in the new SpongeBob, it plays its own music. And these cinematics absolutely look amazing. And the story is at least a little more inspired than the last one. Now, what I'm really excited for, or Gary, or Patrick, or Squidward, or even Mr. Krabs. Unfortunately, the new one does not show the inside of SpongeBob's house. There was this weird lady sitting atop a massive mountain of boxes, so I climbed all the way up for absolutely nothing. I got a cool view though. I tried to talk to Patrick, but he wasn't interested. So while we're waiting, let's talk about this improved movement. And oh my god, is it improved to the max. It feels like silk. Absolutely as smooth as melting butter. I love it. Platforming is so much easier, almost too easy, but I don't mind it because there is nothing more satisfying than 100%ing an obstacle course in under a few seconds. Then we go into another cutscene where I see the fish anchor for the first time in like a billion years. And Mr. Krabs sounds a million times better too. They introduced a new movement into the game and they are amazing. They have gliding now. I feel like fucking Link. And this is only a taste of it too. There's also a bubble thrower, which is pretty cool, and a new dodge roll. Is the combat. The combat is just too easy. I feel like there needs to be a difficulty switcher. Easy, medium, or hard. It's simple. I feel like a lot of adults love SpongeBob, and with a $40 price tag, I feel like you would expect a difficulty switch. Besides that though, the platforming is the perfect mixture of difficulty. I loved it, and the changing worlds makes a much more enjoyable exploring experience than Rehydrated. I feel way less bored with all of the possibilities, because like in Rehydrated, you only really get to travel around Bikini Bottom, so it's just like watching the show, and you get to explore it, but if you watch the show a lot, it's only going to be entertaining the first few times you see it. And with all of these different worlds and everything, like there's a cowboy world and all of these references to the actual show, like apparently we get to go back in time to like the cavemen ages where like SpongeGar is and everything, so that gets you a lot more excited to proceed through the game, and like it gives you actual incentive to progress through the game. One more thing before we actually get onto the first realm, the different costumes for the new SpongeBob game is a large staple for it. I think it's because it doesn't have the same character switcher that it did in the last game. So this game has over 30 different outfits for SpongeBob, all sorts of different references to the original series. So to say the very least, I will be releasing shorts as I progress through this game, just for y'all. Now let's get into the cool stuff. So we're presented into a western world with seahorses and everyone dressed as cowboys and cowgirls. There's also a whole bunch of tiki heads, which I thought was a funny reference to the last game. And there's also the same XXXL pufferfish in this one too. Now, to riding seahorses. Yeah, one of this game's new staple features is riding seahorses. And not only can you ride them in the Western world, you can also ride them around Bikini Bottom for easy mobility, which I feel eliminates a massive problem from that last game. And it's also a really cool way to get around SpongeBob not being able to get his boating license, since in the alternate universe, they ride seahorses, so he doesn't have to worry about that, which I thought was really, really cool. You meet a whole bunch of cool characters and have an awesome cutscene with Sandy, Sheriff Sandy. You get to have to go around and collect all this different cactus juice. It gets a little repetitive, but right as it does, you finish it, so it's alright. You hit a broken machine and fall through the floor into a cave made by the Alaskan bullworm. But unfortunately, you actually don't get to see it, and you have to go pick through its shit for a golden tooth for Old Man Jenkins. Leads to a train chase. That reminds me a lot of that train chase at the beginning of the Toy Story 3 game. I'm not sure if any of you will remember that, but if you do, shout out to you. So you chase Mr. Krabs down a train and take him back to the Bikini Bottom to repair the Krusty Krab. They also have a camera mode, which is pretty cool. So, what can we take away from all of this? New SpongeBob better. Buy new SpongeBob. Last SpongeBob bad. Don't buy last SpongeBob. Peace.